friends, brothers and sisters, viewers everywhere. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this episode of Sojourner. I am privileged to be in the presence of the dear family, Dr. Brian and his wife, Mrs. Farida. They have remarkable stories, remarkable things to share with us, younger generation. Maybe I am just on the way. But, Sister Victoria, thank you so much for having me here. And yesterday, I enjoyed being with dear brother and sisters. We know them together very well. Brian and Farida. Unfortunately, the video, because of the camera, the video was not recording everything Brian was trying to convey to the viewers. But we have plenty of memories of them, don't we?
She has been a very hospitable host, I would say, whenever we have been there, and very good with her hands. I remember her picking the apples, picking fruit and making jams, and every time we went, she would give us some bottled fruit to take with us. And her hospitality went as far as to prepare meals for us.
Yes, she was very good in that, actually.
Very well, very good. She was good with her hands. She shared. We are grateful to God. The memories have been great.
Oh, wonderful, yes.
Great memories.
It is a wonderful memory. Yes.
Very caring, very caring person. He has been a good inspiration in the FOI.
That's right, yes. I thought he brought some stability even to my life and the way I tackle things. The number of years he joined us.
Yes. He was very stabilizing in his what he had to share. He is always open to try and see if he can find a way to support the work.
She is a Lebanese.
Okay.
And it was unheard of that a lady would go to serve the Lord outside her homeland on her own. So Brian was there in a good time before her, in the early 70s, 1960 something, and she joined the work because he was practicing as a medical doctor, and she went there working in the same field, and she was helping him. Found it as from the Lord that they will join together in marriage. So they went to the Lebanon for the marriage ceremony. Surely Brother Brian met the family, and it was a joy. And back to the field to serve the people in Adam in the south.
And very interesting, very interesting. Yeah. Was she a nurse?
Yes.
Working in the hospital?
She had to. She had to be. Yes. She worked, she helped in many cases, even beyond what she would have imagined.
I could well imagine now, because the field, I remember one friend of mine, another doctor, having to perform surgery under adverse conditions.
Wow, yes.
You know?
Yes.
Oh, my.
Wonderful. Now, Brian and Farida served very well. Yes. What the viewers would hear about his experience in Jibla. What triggered, something in my mind out of the history of Jibla, when people will hear of Jibla, they had a convert from Islam, from Bihar. Now, Biharis were not open to the gospel as such, but he was in Jibla and he started some work for the Lord. After being well established in the faith, this brother coming out of Islam, established in Jibla with Brian and Farida and others, and went back to his village to set up some work to help the people over. Which is remarkable. So, dear brother, you were telling about the work you have done in Eden. You had a Bihari man from Bihar. So it wasn't such freedom in Bihar, but in Eden, people had more freedom.
Yes.
And for nationals in particular, they were freer to become Christians, embrace the faith, and witness.
The time when Abdul Nasser began to have influence in Yemen, and although many bad things happened, prayers were answered as well, because he allowed an American doctor to come in and establish a hospital at Jibla. And just before our son was born, Dr. Young there had to go on leave to Egypt to see to the work there, and he asked me if I could take charge of his hospital in Jibla for 2 weeks.
Yes.
While he was away. So we went there and we did that.
And people were recipients, welcomed you well in Jibla?
Yes, people welcomed that. I mean, people welcomed the work of the hospital because he was a very highly respected doctor. But what they said in the about faith, we don't really know.
So it was so much sowing the seed.
Exactly, sowing the seed. And yes. Finding people in whose hearts the seed had already been sown.
Right.
There was that. Because between the capital and Rada, where we were working, there was a town where there was a man who had been a health assistant in Aden. There was a Christian doctor, 2 very outstanding Christian doctors. Over the years I was there, came to the west of Arabia, but they chose not to come as missionaries. They worked in government service, and they presented the gospel to those whose hearts they felt were ready. And this man, Mustafa,
from Jibla.
He was from a village, a very small village called Milah. In that area, yes. And he had the vision to go back and establish a health post in his own village.
Oh, interesting.
And
yes.
He wanted to do this on a Christian basis. Now, the missionaries naturally who were supporting him said, it will be very difficult for you to do this alone. It is better if you can find a Christian wife before you go. So,
understandable.
He found a Christian wife from Aden. She had never been outside of Aden, born and brought up there. But they married and they lived happily in Aden, and then at the end of his time of service, he went back to his home village. Then the trouble began, because his wife had never been in such a situation. How could she go to the well? What did she do when she got there?
Right.
She had no knowledge of how to draw water or bring it back to the house, and other local customs. And unfortunately, within a very short time, his wife decided it was too much for her, and she left and went back to Eden. But Mustafa carried on faithfully. I used to travel to his village, which was about 4 miles from the hospital, and we had a little time singing, hymn singing we did have, and that went on. The hospital was handed over to local people, and we had to leave. And but Mustafa was still there, and he used to write to us. People wrote to him, and he wrote back. And the last time that we heard from him, he said, they have come to my house and searched all my books.
Yeah.
They took them all away.
Right.
But the word is written on my heart.
That is wonderful. Yes. What a testimony.
Yes.
So persecution started, but it's more than the seed was sown. People were established, well established in the faith and able to persevere. I mean, that was wonderful. I would say thank you so much, and I hope everyone watching this and listening will be touched by the Lord. So your testimony. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you on behalf of the listeners and viewers. Thank you for having us. So that will enter other people's home.
Okay.
Many blessings. Yes, so people have watched and heard what was Brian sharing about his experience.
And of course, it was good to hear of how they met.
Yes.
How Brian and Farida met.
Yes.
And they came together.
Mm.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Very
Yes,
interesting.
very interesting. Yes, and Jibla, actually, strange enough, the first Muslim woman became a queen was in Jibla, where they served. Arwa, her name is Arwa. Her dad became an Ismaili Muslim, and the region would host an Ismaili community up to date. And when her husband died, she became the queen, and she served as a queen something like 50 years. Yes, so let us hope that these memories from Brian and Farida would be of help to the new generation. I mean, they were blessings to us, to our generation, but we have new generations who will be watching, and hopefully these memories and this dedication for the work abroad, away from the comfort zone, will encourage the young people.
I see we have another friend that is trying to get on the screen.
Yes, but she is behind the scene.
Yes, but she was trying to see if she can either stop the recording. A four-footed cat,
Yes.
Misty Gray.
So this is a friend was interrupting our talk.
She loves the things of the Lord. When we are praying, she loves to be around